Welcome back, and another happy new year. It's looking a little more like winter today. We've had 3 days of spring-like weather, and today it's clouding up and cooling down a bit, but still not bad. Gave me an opportunity to go outside. This is the old man at the end of the street, taking a break from talking about data centers today. Today I want to talk about shooting ranges. The common theme of all of this has been Board of Supervisors is not listening to its citizens. They're only listening to the economic powerhouses, the big, rich landowners and institutions. And under consideration today, and I'll put a color video or color map in the video later on, but this is a proposal by Tom Winfrey's company, Virginia Sports Park, Virginia Sports Park, out by Haydensville, in the middle of a rural neighborhood. And they want to put a sporting clays range, a 5-stand, and archery range right next to houses. Literally right next to houses. So I went out today to take a look at what's going on, see how close they are to the houses, and get a little bit more context into my opinion. Because there is a hearing on January 15th, this coming Thursday night, at 6 o'clock in the Goochland County Administrative Building in the room 250. And I encourage people to go out. I encourage people to write their supervisors and let them know what they think about putting a shooting range right next to houses with kids, families, senior citizens. A normal demographic of a rural area. So right now I'm out next to an acquaintance's house on Walton Road, which is right next to the proposed shooting range, gun range, and archery by the former chairman of the Goochland County Board of Supervisors, Tom Winfrey, his company. And they want to build a significant shooting range here for sporting clays mostly, although a couple other things. And so right behind me is a house. And now right behind me, 200 feet away, you can see that that's where they're building the range. And this gentleman's house is not the only one. There's houses all up and down the street roads around the proposed shooting range. So the neighbors have overwhelmingly told the Board of Supervisors that they don't want this thing here. The Board of Supervisors, of course, is heavily influenced by the power structure, and the power structure is part of the ownership. Luckstone owns the property, and Tom Winfrey is the I don't know what his position is, chairman, owner, president of Virginia Sporting. And so the bottom line is they want to put this in. They've been worked on it, they say, for a couple of years. They expect 70 to 100 people a day during their busy days. I would, based on my experience, each one of those people is probably going to shoot around 50 rounds of shotgun. And the 50 rounds times 100 people, that's 5,000 rounds a day. And they're going to be open from, I think, 9 o'clock to dusk, although they might change that. They always had that. They can go back to the Board of Supervisors and ask for an amendment, I guess, to the cup. So that's 5,000 shots a day, 200 feet away from this gentleman's house, maybe 500 feet away from the house next door, another 600 feet over there. There's houses everywhere, and shotgun makes a lot of noise. And the folks out here are used to gunshots. They live in the country, there's a lot of hunting, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is 5,000 a day, that's a lot. And getting rid of all the lead. So I've taken some drone footage of the property, and I'll show that later. Stay tuned. This is a satellite image of where the drone's going to fly. It starts off on the eastern part of the range, which is tinted purple. It goes to the center of the range, close to the houses. Then it goes up north along Walton Road, coming then southbound, and then turning in at the proposed range entryway, and then ending right next to the neighbors' houses. So here we are, we're on the eastern part of the range looking to the southwest. The clear area, generally speaking, is where the proposed range would be, the tree line being the boundary. Heading to the southwest at the top of your screen, you can see a road right at the top. That's I-64. Headed a little more south here, getting ready to turn to the west-northwest. Turning to the northwest now. Walton Road is appearing at the top of the screen. This is right at the range boundary, overlooking the neighboring houses. You can see how close they are. I'm going to fly across the neighbors' lands. You can see the houses as I fly over. This is all within 400 or 500 feet of the range boundary. Again, there's Walton Road off to lots of houses off to the north of here. Again, that's Walton Road. I'm going to turn to the south. And I'll turn over Walton Road to head down the road and give you an idea of what it looks like. In the large green area there is the entryway to the proposed range. Again, notice how close the houses are. There's I-64. Walton Road crosses over I-64. Here's the entryway, proposed entryway. I don't know why they would change it, but the entryway to the proposed range. So I get into the clearing area. This is all going to be cleared, I think, or most of it's going to be cleared for buildings and parking lots. And there'll be a range right there at the clear area. And the tree line on the left-hand side is the range boundary, essentially. And the clear area on the left is the property owners, where I think there's going to be proposed horses there, and you can see his house and the house just beyond, all very close. The neighbors out there aren't opposed to firearms. I mean, this is a rural community, and people hunt, they fish, they target practice. I mean, folks out there are used to sound of gunfire, but not like this. Not like this. VSP expects they're going to have between 70 and 100 people out there on their big days. And I was a member of a shooting club in a different part of the world, Northern Virginia. And the typical sporting clays round is 50 shots, 2 boxes of shells. And if there's 100 people and each one of them shooting 50, that's 5,000 rounds, shots a day. 5,000 rounds a day. That's a lot per hour. That's a lot per minute. That's a lot to put up with, because even if you're expecting and you're used to gunshots, having that all the time is not quite like a war zone, but probably pretty close. Of course, one of the big things besides the noise, is the potential pollution from the lead. Somebody on the VSP team said, well, the Goochland clay will sort of encapsulate or make that irrelevant. That's not true. That's not true. It makes the lead stay closer to the top of the soil, but it's still being washed over by the water that's leaking down. And this is a watershed area. There's several watersheds, and 9 or 10 of their proposed shooting ranges are over the watershed. So you know that there's going to be water damage. Where I came from, the shooting club there was very much part of the community, and felt a community requirement to clean their lead up occasionally. And when I was there, they spent, this is just, it's been a while, so I don't remember, but I think it was close to $1 million to clean the lead up. And they got some back because they were able to sell the harvested lead. But it was a community thing, because they're close to the Occoquan River, and the Occoquan River flows into the Potomac. Potomac flows into the Chesapeake, and of course it all goes into the aquifer in that part of the world. But this is a critical thing, that the neighbors have spoken, and they're speaking loud. But apparently nobody's listening. They're going to go out and do a firing test, but we know that it's probably not going to be accurate, because they can't simulate, or won't simulate, the sound of 5,000 rounds going off over a 8-hour period or 6-hour period, whatever the sun, the 9 o'clock to sunset parameter might be. So there's a couple issues. The club I belonged to had a strong community relationship, and they owned the land, so there was a certain sense of responsibility. VSP doesn't own the land, and they're going to lease it from Luck. So if VSP pollutes the land with lead for 10, 15 years, and then they go bankrupt or out of business, then they'd leave Luck. And I'm sure that the contract, the leasing agreement, says that Luckstone will assume no environmental responsibility for anything that VSP might do. So that will leave the county holding the bag if the county wanted to do anything with it, or leave Luckstone holding the bag, because nobody might want to buy that. And I don't know if you can make a gravel pit out of a contaminated area. Probably can. So that's coming up for a vote next Thursday, January 15th. Tom Winfrey's no longer the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. The chairman now is Mr. Christy, and he's a supervisor of that district. So it'll be interesting to see how he votes. We know what Mr. Winfrey thinks of the citizens. He says they're just complaints. And Business Journal, let me look, I'll make sure. Richmond Business Sense quoted Mr. Winfrey when they called him up, and he said in an email to them, so it wasn't a call, it was an email, that the shooting range is wholesome and safe benefits, in my opinion, far outweigh the areas of complaint. So the citizens are far outweighed by anything that VSP might want to do. And there's no tax benefit for this. This is going to be a nonprofit, so we're not going to be able to tax them. Not going to be able to tax them. We get no benefit. We just get the potential cleanup and pollution and noise and damage to the citizens. So come on, Board of Supervisors. You failed in the Highfield. You failed in the Airbnb. You failed with Mosaic. you fail with Reader's Branch, you're not listening to your citizens. Now's the time to start doing this. You got to start paying attention. I know you got another 2 years to sit in office, and then you will be able to move on and into the whatever environment you're building for yourselves now. But that's not a responsibility that we had hoped that you would get. We appreciate that you're serving. We do not appreciate what you're doing to the environment, to our health, to our welfare, and to the Goochland community. Well, thanks for watching. Stay tuned.